This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
I'm the best goddamn dancer in the American Ballet Academy. Who the hell are you? Nobody. But you are listening to the Horrified Podcast. That is Michael Combs.
That's Mike Martin.
And that's Keith Clanton.
Hello, how's your mom and them? So, before we get started with today's little journey, this is actually New Year's Day. Of course, this is not going to be the first episode of the new year. It's going to be the second. But we're recording on New Year's Day. So, I wanted to ask you guys a question.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Oh, my God. It's an easy question. What was your favorite movie of 2022?
I mean, I could probably go if you don't have yours yet.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, we're talking just in general or horror?
Well, I think we could do both, like in general, but then if you want to separate horror, like you can do both.
I mean, I almost would put mine in the same category for both.
Oh, okay.
I really loved Smile a lot.
Okay.
So
That's actually going to be my choices. That's going to be my choice as well.
I think,
Smile.
like, for a horror film, for sure. And then I mean, God, I saw so many movies over the year.
See a lot of movies.
So, like, it'd be kind of hard for me to think about whatever, but...
Yeah, but horror movie, I feel like for me it was Smile as well. Smile and X. Like, it's hard to... Like,
Seeing
they're
God.
all so different.
I forgot that X was even 2022.
But for me, I would say... I mean, I like X more, but Smile, like, scared me more. Like, actually scared me. You know what I'm saying?
It's a different type of scary.
It's different.
Yeah.
Smile was the whole package.
Yeah, it was really good. But if you want to talk best movie of 2022, period, bar none, Disenchanted. Okay?
Oh.
Disney's
That was good.
Oh.
Disenchanted. I've been waiting for years, and it did not disappoint. I loved it. Maya Rudolph was amazing. Your, returning cast members were all amazing.
And
Songs
looked
were
literally the
amazing.
same.
Yeah, haven't aged a bit, and however long it's been since the movie came. It's been a long time since Enchanted came out. I would say I even liked this more than Enchanted. But this is a horror podcast, so let's continue.
This isn't for the kids.
Right. We are back with episode 2 of our queer horror series. Of course, we'd love for y'all to follow along with us, so please be sure to give this season's movie listing a peep over at the Horrified Podcast on Instagram. Now, comes to the spell, let's chat about Butcher, Baker, Nightmare, Maker.
An unsuspecting boy comes home to murder. Suddenly, his life becomes a nightmare.
Did you kill him?
No! Was it the vicious act of a tormented stranger, or is it someone close to home? Caught in a web of bloody horror, he must find the truth or be the next victim. A chilling nightmare explodes in pure terror. See Butcher, Baker, Nightmare Maker. Rated R.
Released in 1981, Butcher, Baker, Nightmare Maker, also known as Night Warning, was directed by William Asher, written by Stephen Brymer, Alan J. Gluckman, and Boone Collins. It stars Jimmy McNichol, Susan Tyrrell, Bo Stevenson, Marsha Lewis, Julia Duffy, Britt Leach, Steve Easton, and a very young Bill Paxton. Michael, kick us off.
Yes, so we are introduced to a 3-year-old Billy and his Aunt Cheryl as they're saying goodbye to Billy's parents, who unfortunately die in a very dramatic car crash.
It's like Jenga or dominoes. It just keeps going.
And then we flash forward to 14 years later, a few weeks before Billy's 17th birthday. We learn Billy is a basketball player and he's trying to get a scholarship, and Aunt Cheryl is not happy about this. But she changes her mind about the scholarship the next day. As he's leaving for school, Aunt Cheryl asks him to get a hold of the TV repairman to come over and fix the TV. We then see the TV repairman starting to leave, and Aunt Cheryl tries to seduce him, and he's not having it, and so she loses her mind and stabs him to death. Mm-hmm. And Billy witnesses the last stabbing through the window.
I mean, that's a lot.
It is.
There's a lot of, like, this movie is, like, a lot of small scenes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to
boom,
divide
boom,
it up.
boom.
It
Like,
really is.
It's a lot of small scenes.
I want to talk about that car crash, though.
Yeah, talk about it.
That thing is ridiculous. It's crazy. It's all over the place. Like, you think it's over, and it just keeps going and going.
It's like a scene
and
out
going.
of Final Destination.
It is.
It is.
Going.
And then that telephone pole takes off the dad's face, and the mom's just screaming her head off, and that car is attached
Like
to
a little
that
fish.
pole.
Can you imagine being the passenger? Like being her?
I would have just jumped out because, honestly, it didn't look like the car was going that fast. And then when it starts to go down the hill, I was like, it's not going that fast. But then it just
Gets
goes
loose.
off the cliff, then splashes into water,
And
then
then
explodes.
blows up. It is the most ridiculous car crash I've ever
is.
seen.
But
I loved it.
I thought at the beginning, though, like, obviously they're going to see Billy's grandparents. They don't specify whose parents they're going to see, I don't think.
Yeah, they're going to Cedar Hills or Cedar Falls or something.
But I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to see the grandparents,
Why aren't you bringing your son?
wouldn't you take Billy with you? Like, usually that's why you go see your parents if you live far away, to take your kids so they can see their grandparents.
Yeah.
But instead, they left him with Aunt Cheryl. I don't know. I was like, I guess I never really thought about it much the first time I watched it, but I was like, why are you taking him? I'm sure he wants to see
He wants to see Grandma.
Gran and Pop
Yeah,
too. Like,
That is a bit weird.
it is weird.
I mean, obviously foreshadowing, sitting there having the baby crying, screaming while Aunt Cheryl's holding him.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
he's like not
Not-
wanting
Yeah.
to with her
Nope.
either, and she is loving every minute of it, I think. But I don't know. Like, they talk about the brakes are messed up, right?
Yes.
So from the beginning, when you say, "Oh, the brakes are fucked," I'm just curious. Like, what did y'all think?
I was like, someone had to tamper with those
'Cause
brakes.
this was your like second viewing,
Probably my third or fourth.
third, Mike
First.
first. Okay, so
I mean, yeah, like as soon as they started talking about the brakes, I immediately thought that obviously, because at that time we kind of are a little aware of some weird things, right? So,
well, it's at the very beginning. I don't know if you're aware. Maybe if you've seen a trailer or something, you're aware.
but like, well, I mean, I at least went into it knowing that questioning the aunt.
Yeah.
And that was just
Yeah.
based on the synopsis of the movie.
Yeah. Well, you know
So-
what's weird about the trailer? If you watch, which we played,
Yeah.
but when you watch, even if you watch a full trailer, the aunt is in it very little. Like, they don't really give anything away. You
Unlike
just see a bunch
trailers
of people
nowadays.
running around,
Yeah.
and you see a lot of that car crash. But
Yeah. I mean, I definitely had a feeling that obviously she had something to do with it. That was where my brain went with it. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I didn't know what it was
yeah,
or
something
where it
fishy
was going, but I
okay.
knew that something was going on.
And then 14 years later,
Yeah, 14
a
years.
16-year-old Billy, and she's purring in his ear like a cat. I'm like, what? the
And running her
fuck
little
is
fingers
that?
up his back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like,
and
that's very sexual.
it's very sexual. So the whole movie, for me, there's a little like incestual vibe. Like, she's clearly obsessed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I don't think he thinks anything of it because it's like his aunt / mom. Like, she's raised him, so he probably doesn't. But like watching it, I'm like, I don't
was
know about
uncomfortable,
that.
yeah.
And he is shirtless a lot
Uh-huh.
in this movie. Wait, so okay, before we get too started into it, because he is shirtless a lot in the movie, but it makes me, how gay do you think this movie is? Do you think it's a very gay movie?
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think that obviously first of all, how many times can we say the word fag in a movie?
Oh my
Right.
god.
We can talk about that later. But, like, in general, no, I didn't really get... If you think about something like Jeepers Creepers, where we obviously...
It's more homoerotic.
Yeah, and I didn't really get that vibe so much.
I don't think this one's homoerotic, but I think it is definitely a homophobic
Oh, well, yeah.
movie.
Very.
But then I also think it's campy. Like, the aunt is over the top. And I think part of that is what makes this. I think that's what makes it, like a queer horror movie, because it is homophobic. But then you also have some gay characters that are great characters. Like you have the coach who was very supporting of Billy. He's almost like a father figure.
TV guy, which we find out after the fact.
Yeah, like we find out after the fact that he's gay too. But I mean, Billy, he is really wanting to see Julie. So I feel like it is a gay movie in that sense, but it is kind of homophobic.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
very
homophobic.
homophobic.
It's not kinda. But anyway, yeah. So she is obsessed with him, and I feel like we'll do anything to keep him
there. Yeah.
Right? Like she even says that she's going to be his date for their birthday dinner, because he asks if Julie, his girlfriend, can come, and she's like, I'm going to be your date. And then the scholarship, he's talking about a scholarship, and she says college is for rich people with brains, and Billy wouldn't fit in. Like, she's literally pulling all the stops trying to get this kid to stay home with her. So I think she definitely treats him more like a husband and a companion than she does a kid.
Well, she definitely has abandonment issues and complex or something.
It also felt like what kept like coming to mind when I was watching it. I was like, this feels very much like conditioning, like the way that she like treats him.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm sure she's been like this with him since she had him after his parents died. But like, so yeah, I was sitting there, I was like, I don't know. This is just so icky.
Well, it's even ickier when you find out the twist at the ending.
Yes.
Like it's one thing, like an ant is gross enough.
Yeah.
But then when you find out the twist at the end, which we'll get into, like it even makes it worse.
Yeah.
Because you think back of all these times and,
It's even the way she delivered her lines. Susan Tyrrell delivered her lines. Because the scene you were talking about, he says, whatever makes you happy to her. And she says, you make me happy. It's just the way she says it to him. I'm like,
Yeah, it's almost like she's doing it in such a flirty voice.
Yeah.
It's gross.
It is gross.
I will say she is great.
She is fantastic.
I mean, the first, because when I was watching, I was kind of like, okay, obviously something's off with her. We see that she's like constantly kind of like whispering to herself when she's like, just like walking around the house, and she'll be kind of like mumbling to herself, and you see her mouth moving and just stuff like that. So like, it's just kind of weird. Obviously we don't know what she's saying, but I was like, okay, so something's obviously.
And she does that more as she becomes more unhinged. She does that a lot more. So towards the end of the movie.
But I whisper to myself a lot too. So what does that say about me? Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. Woo! Okay.
What do we think about Julie?
I like Julie. I think she's sweet.
She is sweet.
She's very sweet.
She's a good girl.
Yes.
And honestly, I think Billy is a good kid. Like, they're both good kids.
Yes. They're both very good.
He doesn't really act out. Like, he gets into that fight later on with Bill Paxton's character, but it's because he's being
bullied.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Julie is, like, there to support him. I just think they're a really cute little couple.
I almost think it's like a reverse. Billy's like a final girl, and Julie's the boyfriend that helps the final girl.
Supporting boyfriend.
Yeah, it's like an opposite in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're a thing, they're an item, but the questions come up of like Billy's sexuality and all of that stuff. What did you?
I never for once thought Billy was gay.
No.
It's typical back then, like if you had liked gay people or were friends with them, you automatically
were gay.
As gay.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, but to devil's advocate here, what did you? Because now, grant you have seen this before. I have not. So watching this, I was like, I mean, what is this little coach relationship thing happening? Like, because it does feel very like, hey, come meet me in my office after practice. Like, it just seems really But
Well, I think for me watching it, I think it was one of those like subplots of the movie, like to get us thinking, oh, I don't know, is he gay? But I don't think he was. I just think the coach in him had a really, obviously he's a very good basketball player, and the coach is like keeping his best interest in mind, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why, because it almost seems like too, like when they talk about him being gay later on, like it's not really a big deal to Billy. He's just like, okay. And so to me, I'm like, did he know? Like, were they that close that maybe the coach had told him, or like given
I think
hints,
maybe he just assumed or
maybe
knew.
But I felt like the coach was almost like a father figure for him.
Definitely.
So I didn't really think. I don't know. I think even the first time I watched it, I don't think there was ever a question of, is Billy gay? I think he was just open-minded kid in 1981.
Yeah.
well, and doesn't Billy gets like super defensive
Yeah.
about the coach when Cheryl brings it up. So like, there's that too. I also kind of feel like maybe they did that because they needed another reason for the detective to be an asshole.
Because another reason. Well, we're not to the detective.
Yeah,
yet,
like we
so.
can.
He's the worst. Okay, so I guess we can talk about.
Well, we have to talk about TV repairman.
Well, that's what I say. TV repairman Brody, right?
Before that, I do want to mention this. Before that, Aunt Cheryl's pissed off at Billy about the scholarship, and she does say to him, and I don't know why I wrote this down, but she sacrificed everything for him for the last 14 years, and then she slaps him.
Oh, she does slap him.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because then when it's actually his birthday, she asks for an apology or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
So she's definitely into BDSM.
And she loves the canned stuff.
Yes, she is
she
a
real-
canner. She's like old school. Like my grandma used to can everything.
Pickled tomatoes, whatever.
Everything.
Yeah.
So it's funny because Brody, like when she actually tells Billy to call your friend Brody, like so he knows Brody,
Yeah.
right? Which makes me think he knew that Brody
They
and
were
the
in a
coach were in a
relationship.
relationship. Maybe Cheryl didn't know. Obviously, she didn't know that because she tried to make a move on a gay man. It didn't work for her.
Yeah.
But God, when she like throws herself at him and her boobs
Breasts
are
are
all,
out.
I was
Tits
like,
out and all.
well, he's clearly not interested, girl. Like,
Well, he does say at the end, though, you could take care of me, which I thought was a little weird, but
like give him head.
yeah.
Yeah, but I also think that was just like.
Like to get
Get off my nuts. Like,
Yeah, like-
I think it was just kind of almost like sarcastic.
Yeah, because it was almost like she wanted him to like ravish her. That's what how she set that up.
Yeah.
But he was like, no. But if you want to suck my dick, then do it. Which I think he knew that would just
Wasn't
kind of
gonna
get
happen.
her to,
I mean, do you really think that she was actually coming on to him?
No, I think she set up that whole scene because
Yeah.
then she stabs him, right?
Yeah.
Because she said she would do whatever it took to keep
Billy.
Billy home
Yeah.
with her. And if he thought she was in some sort of danger because they are so close, then he would stay at home. So I think she staged that whole thing because she thought, okay, let me throw myself at this man. I am very attractive and my boobies are hanging out. So he's obviously going to say yes. And when he didn't, she was like, okay, well, shit, I guess I'll just kill him,
They love a slow motion stab.
Oh my god, yes. I actually have that in here. I was like, I feel like there was a lot of slow motion kills
Yes.
happening in this movie.
And then she kind of goes into shock after it all happens. I'm like, oh my god.
I mean,
Well,
Shock. I don't know.
I kind of feel like it's because, I mean, obviously she's mentally unstable, clearly. And I think that she is very much towing the line of being psychotic and normal.
yeah.
So, like, when she has those psychotic breaks and then she transitions back to kind of trying to, like, have this normal demeanor, I think that's why she, like, she looks like in shock. It's like almost like she doesn't realize, like, what just happened or what
She's
she
like falling
did
on
or
Billy and her breasts are
Yeah.
out. Oh my god.
And she does. You're right. She does do that. So it's like how much of this is put on, and how much of this is actually just because she doesn't realize.
And then
what she's
their
doing.
friends come over, and she does it to the friend too. She falls on her friend because I'm like, you just got blood
all over
your
her blouse.
friend.
all over. And that was
Yeah.
supposed to be Billy's birthday dinner too.
Yes.
And I think she staged that on his birthday to think, oh my god, this was my birthday. It's like he's gonna remember that now. Like,
Yeah.
oh, on my 17th birthday, my and was raped. But and I guess if you want to, because I know the detective's about to come in, so if you want to set us up with the detective.
So then we get to the second. This was a hard movie to put into acts, but this is how I divided up as the second act. So we are introduced to probably the most homophobic detective I've ever seen in a movie. Well,
not even homophobic, but racist and
racist,
sexist.
Asshole, everything. He is brought in to because of what happened, and he just wants to blame Billy. He's like determined that Cheryl did not kill the TV repairman. Billy killed him. And there was some subplot with him being gay, and the coach is brought in because he goes after the coach.
Yeah, but he also says whenever he comes in that they make a really cute couple.
Yeah.
So he thinks something's going on in the house too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just jumped right in.
There's just a lot. There
is a lot that happens in this movie. So we see a lot of basketball games. We see a lot of Julie taking photos. And in the second act, we slowly, maybe not slowly, a little more see Cheryl become unhinged because she starts doing some really crazy things. Billy finds some photos and some letters and a birth certificate upstairs indicating something. And during this, he asks Julia to distract Aunt Cheryl, who then gets a meat cleaver to the head.
Wait, is it Julie? Or Julie?
Is it Julia?
Julie.
Well, her name is Julie Duffy, so it's like, I don't know if it's Julia or Julie.
No, it's Julie.
It is Julia.
It's
Julia.
And her real name is Julie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me double check.
Right, her name is Julie Duffy. Hang on.
It's Julia Duffy.
Oh, Julia Duffy.
Plays...
Julie.
Okay, there we go.
Very confusing. Okay. So, okay, obviously, we've talked about, you make a lovely couple. Carlson's an asshole. But she's so convinced that Billy's going to stay that she starts cleaning out the attic. She's going to turn it into an apartment for him.
Yes.
And he just seems very meh. Like he's not interested. He wants to go to college.
Exactly.
With Julie. I don't know.
That's just his naive, he doesn't think anything's weird.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He's like, this is just her because I'm going away to college. She'll calm, it's normal. She'll calm down. And then, of course, we also find out that Brody and the coach were a couple.
Because of the ring.
The ring they both had. Yeah.
Yes.
They were great. And, I think about it, and these are, burly men. These are, I guess you call them daddy bears or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? And it's just funny because they've got these rings and they're inscribed and you're
to each other.
Oh, they were actually in love and whatever. So they weren't just sleeping with each other. They were actually a couple.
I think the coach, I would have thought he would have been more upset about the whole thing because he doesn't seem like he is, and I'm not sure if that's because he's trying to protect Billy or what that is. I think
it's probably him trying to protect not only himself but also Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially since obviously the detective has it out for him, and he makes it pretty clear. So, I think that he's just kind of playing a part, so to speak, to just kind of keep it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I also, and this is also when we find out that Cheryl has a shrine up to her old boyfriend.
She breaks down that slatted up wall.
That's dead. And then when the cop comes in too, because he wants to ask more questions.
And is upstairs in the kitchen. She comes up and, why the fuck are you in my house?
Yeah, while she's canning something.
Yeah. Always canning something.
I felt bad for that little side cop because he actually seemed like a good guy.
And you could tell he did not like the detective.
No.
He did not like him at all.
Well, and anytime he would come into his office, the lead detective Carlson, he'd be like, "Hey, so I've got blah 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 blah," and he would just be like, "Okay."
He'd be an asshole to him and shoot his thoughts down, and
Yeah.
he's like,
Sergeant Cook was his name.
Cook, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
he's like, go home, get some rest.
Yeah,
It's
Cook was a good guy.
And he had intuition and knew things weren't right.
Right.
Where the other one had to have this gay angle the whole time.
Which, look, we've been talking a lot about all this, and we still have not even mentioned Bill Paxton.
Yeah, but he's
such a minor
small
character.
role.
But
A very young Bill Paxton.
It is.
Homophobic as fuck.
That's what I was gonna say, but I feel like if we're talking about like all the gay things that are in this movie, I feel like he is the like epitome of the jock that wants to like, you know, call every boy that, you know, might not be as sporty as he is a fag.
Which is weird because obviously Billy is a much better basketball player because the scouts are coming to see Billy, not him. Which he's probably jealous about, obviously. You know what I mean? But do you think... So, I'm sorry, I'm going back to Cheryl's shrine here.
Yeah.
Do you think that Cheryl's boyfriend kind of looks like Billy?
I thought it was the sister's husband.
That's what I thought.
Oh, you thought it was... Well, I mean, a lot of people had that same haircut, so maybe that's what it was for me.
And it wasn't until later that I realized, oh, it's some boyfriend that we never met.
Well, I think we know who it was, but we can get to that point later. So also, this is when, you know, we bring up Bill Paxton. Billy has a fight with Bill Paxton at school with a full-on milk mustache. Because he is, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Antagonizing him.
Yes.
So we have that little fight scene, that little scuffle. And I feel like that's when you find out Billy's like very protective of not only himself, but like the coach too.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. That's all I want to say.
And then we get a lot...
Had a milk mustache. They love milk in this movie. They drink milk all the time.
Yes. And then we get the word fag a lot.
A lot. When Carlson comes to question him at his
Doesn't
house.
it bother you that he's a fag? Are you a fag? And then it was fag, 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 fag.
Literally.
Because I wrote, Jesus, how many times can they say fag?
Literally. I mean, his excessive use of the word fag. That's what I wrote.
Yeah. It was like every other second, third word was fag. I'm
Well,
like,
he
Jesus.
thinks that it was a lover's quarrel with Brody. Between Brody and Billy. And that's what happened. And then he said, when he shoots the basketball, I wrote this down. He shoots the you know, whatever. And Carlson is saying he used to play basketball. So as he walks away, he says, keep your ramp list-like. Shouldn't be too difficult for you.
That line pissed me off so bad. Oh.
And I was like, I don't know. Like, Carlson just needs to go.
Yes. And then he made the coach resign, basically. He's like, I know you're queer.
Yeah.
Either.
And that's pretty much why, that's why he lost his job.
And I'm sure in 1981, or whenever this movie is supposed to take place, that's what he had to do.
And not only that, but then there's, you know, the coach comes into the police department at one point, and he blames two, like, accounts of, two boys were molested or something.
Yes, it was the gays or the
and
queers.
He blamed it on. He asked the coach about it.
Yeah.
And then he refers to Billy as Butt Boy Billy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just the worst.
He is.
It was Butt Boy Billy and then people like you. I'm like, whatever. But Aunt Cheryl's homophobic too, because she says at one point homosexuals are very, very sick to Billy.
Yeah.
Everyone's homophobic in this movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty
sluts and perverts.
Yeah.
Sluts and perverts.
Well, and then you know, the cop Carlson goes to question Julie too, and Julie actually says he's more of a man than you'll ever be, and I was like, yes, Julie. 3 snaps for Julie.
Because he wants to know about their sexual relationship.
Which is weird already.
17-year-old.
Yes.
Like, and that's just like, okay, Billy's 17, but Julie could still be 16 years old, and regardless, like, they're kids. You can't ask kids about their sex life, especially if you're not their fucking parents.
Yeah, and what does that have to do with the case, period, whatever?
I just got the feeling, like, Carlson is convinced that Billy is gay, right? I feel like he has repressed feelings of homosexuality.
That's usually the case.
And that's why he's like, going
definitely.
so gung-ho about it. Like, I mean, do you want Billy lieutenant? Like, that's what it feels
Or the coach,
like
he wants one of them. Yeah.
Or did you want Brody, the TV repairman?
Probably all 3.
Well, I got the feeling, too, like, anytime he questioned the coach, like, I think we only get that one scene, but I feel like there's a weird animosity between the both of them, and that makes me think, did y'all have a past thing?
I mean,
they went to school.
I was about to say, if they're around the same age, they could have gone to school together and...
experimented.
Or not even that, just like, if he maybe in high school did have repressed feelings and stuff like that, and now he's just jealous because Coach is out here living his life, and so I mean that's not unheard of for.
Yeah. And then we find out our Aunt Cheryl starts to drug Billy with mother's milk.
But is this before? Oh no, she does drug him because he passes out at the game
where the scout is at.
Yeah, she was basically like setting him up for failure.
And I hated that because Julie like runs over like
and she just shoves her out of the way.
Literally shoves her out of the way like a rag doll. You know, and you're wondering, like, it takes her a minute to get up. Like, obviously she knows, so it's almost like she's thinking in her head, okay, how am I going to approach this? But then, of course, Billy wakes up. He's in his fucking attic apartment that's got little toys all over the place. I don't know.
It's like he woke up in his room when he was like 5 years old.
And then she says to him, "You're not going back to school.
Yeah.
I'll teach you things." And I'm like, oh, gross. What are things?
But this is right after we see the booty.
Oh, the shower.
Oh, in the shower.
Because that's after he takes a shower. So he goes to the shower and he's like, you see, he's naked, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously this kid is not 17, like
in real life,
you know? But you see his booty. It's a nice booty. And then Cheryl walks in. But what's weird is, like, he doesn't even flinch.
No.
Like, why the hell are you here, Aunt Cheryl? Sorry.
Yeah, or Mom, or whatever.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was really weird, too, that he didn't seem fazed by it.
Yeah.
And then, even like, he grabbed a towel, but he didn't even really wrap himself. He just kind of like...
Yeah.
But he stood there for a minute. And, like, you think about it, like... The way that she's standing, she had full vision of his penis.
Yeah, we were kind of behind him, but she was like side view. Like,
it was weird. Like, he didn't care, which makes me think, okay, she smothered him his whole life. She probably gave him baths until he was damn near, you know, like
in puberty.
Prepubescent. So it makes me think, like, maybe it's not weird for him.
Well,
but it's weird for us.
Well, it's weird because we obviously know that that's not normal. However, Billy, this is what he's just been around since he was 3 years old. So
this is his norm.
This is his life. It's kind of like, you know, I mean, you hear people talk about like when like their parents or whatever like walk around with no clothes, and I'm just like, really?
And that's their
like,
normal to them. They don't know anything. That's what they grew up with. So that could be normal to him.
I mean, it could be.
I mean,
it's
to me,
also
it's
like 1981. I feel like I would like now it's different. Is it? I don't know. I still wouldn't.
Was this before or after she walked in on them?
This is after.
Is it?
I think it's after.
Oh, it is after. Yeah, because she goes out with Marsha and what's his name, Frank.
Yeah.
And she comes home and finds them. Yeah, no, you're right. I think it is after.
Margie.
It is Marge, I think.
Margie,
Margie, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have that view where you can tell someone's walking up to the house and watching, and you're like, who is this? The detective?
You know who it is.
Well, I thought maybe it could be the detective as well, but...
Well, the only reason I was bringing that up is because obviously, like, that's when we kind of talk when Julie comes running out and she sees the detective in the bushes or whatever, and she, like, stops and talks to him.
Well, I think that's when she says he's more of a man than you.
Yeah. And... But, like, once again, they question the whole sexual whatever they have. But, oh, shit, I was totally going somewhere with that.
You forgot?
I totally forgot.
Because you were looking
It slipped away.
Eyes.
I was thinking about the booty.
I mean, it's a nice booty, but I do feel a little weird. Like, I remember watching it for the first time, and I was like, oh. And then I'm like, oh, no. He's 17.
Yeah.
Even though he's not really, but... You know.
Yeah, I mean, well, funny story, just to kind of break that up a little bit. She was 30. That actress was 30. He was 20.
Oh, so there was only... She couldn't have been his aunt or... Well,
you're saying Cheryl.
No, Julie.
Julie was 30?
Yeah.
Julia Duffy was 30?
Yeah, she was 30.
She looked so young.
Yeah.
And he's 20.
I mean, he does look like a baby anyway. But I had no idea she was 30.
But kudos to her. I didn't...
She looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks great. Yeah, I really liked Julie, but...
And then we're coming up on one of my favorite scenes.
Okay. What's your favorite scene?
where Cheryl decides to cut all of her fucking hair off.
It looked great.
It looked amazing. I'm like, oh my god, all I put is cut that hair, bitch.
I put on, like, she could literally be Margaret White's sister. Like, they are two of the same.
And then she comes walking down the stairs and she's like,
Yeah, there she goes again.
talking to herself.
Yeah, that's when it really gets hardcore.
Yeah.
Oh, man, she does look a mess.
I feel like her posture is different at that point in the movie, too. She's like slouched over.
And she's very, like, the way that she, like, walks and stuff.
It's different.
Her legs are, like, real
changes.
spread and, like,
Yeah.
she's very kind of
She looked heavier to me, too. And
yeah.
she was, because she looked thinner. I mean, she wasn't heavier, but it was just the way she was carrying herself after she cut her hair.
More like masculine.
It was weird.
Whenever
I kind of loved it, though.
I love when Margie comes in and she's like, "Oh, I love it,
Yeah.
Margie, girl, tell
She's
your
a good friend.
She is a good friend, but damn, like, tell her the truth. It looks like
She's like, do you like it?
Oh my god, it looks terrible.
I mean, that is a southern
It's like a
thing. Where is this set?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know where this is at, honestly.
Because I just feel like that in general is very...
Well, and she's canning stuff, so it kind of does, like, that's a very southern, and she's got that ugly apron on, her canning apron.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. I didn't really think
But
about
and
it.
then like Margie, then like how she's always like coming over with like little pies and
Yes.
cheesecakes and da 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 da.
It
Like
is very southern.
all of that
It
stuff
is.
is.
The haircut kind of reminded me of like two little girls, sisters. They got a hold of some scissors and decided to cut each other's hair. It was awful.
It literally reminded me of when like I cut my buddy doll's hair
Yeah.
when I was a child.
But she
That's
loved
what it looked
Aunt
like.
Cheryl loved that haircut.
Makes me look younger.
It makes you look
Doesn't make you
crazy.
make you look 20 years older and psychotic. I was trying to find. It says, I mean, it was shot in Los Angeles, but it doesn't actually say like where the movie's supposed to take place.
And then I mean, if you think about like just all the homophobic stuff, I feel like that's very much more this
Typical of the
Bible
South.
Belt area than it is,
Yeah.
you know, California or something.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it just depends. I mean, there's smaller towns in California too, like out in the country. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, where are we?
Well,
There's just so much shit.
there is so many different scenes here. She does go back to her little shrine, and there is a scene where it goes past her, and you can see that there's actually a corpse
Yeah.
in the corner
With no
which
head.
is obviously, yeah, because the head's in a jar over.
Yeah.
On
she
the other
has it
side.
in like it's
She
preserved.
done canned his head too.
She did. She canned his head.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't put that
I didn't even
together.
think
She
about
likes to
that.
Can, so she
Yeah.
obviously knew how to can his head.
Oh my god.
Because it is
I wonder if she poisoned him with milk. That seems to be her go-to.
She loves to do that. And then
I'm telling you, everybody loves milk in this movie.
we get back to Billy and Julie, and Billy convinces Julie to go and distract Cheryl so
That's
he can
right,
go
so he can
upstairs
snoop.
and snoop through the stuff. And while that's she pulls out that meat, and she is beating the shit out of it.
She sure is, and it's
Like,
a
beat
big
that
piece of
meat.
meat.
Holy
Like, I don't
crap.
think it needs a lot of beating, Cheryl.
no, she flopped it on the table. I was like,
What was that? Was it
Flank
a-
steak? I
That's
don't
what I was
know.
gonna say. It looked like a flank steak or something.
But she was pounding the shit out of it, and then she asked Julie to get the other steak.
and that's when she
mallets
gets
her in the head.
God, Julie really went through it that last like act of the movie because I kept thinking, "Well, damn, she's dead now." Oh no, she's not. Oh,
Yeah, I kept telling him, she's
no.
not dead. And he's like,
I did. Well, it'd been a while since I watched it, so when we watched it again, I kept saying, "Wait, Julie's dead? Julie's dead." Like I didn't really care about it. I just poor Julie. Like she was a good girl. Okay, so
So I think that brings us to basically the third act.
Okay.
Or what I'm going to say is the third act. So at this point, Cheryl has completely lost her marbles. I mean,
As if she hadn't
lost
already.
it. Julie wakes up in the basement and discovers Chuck's
shrine, right?
corpse and the shrine. The good detective comes and gets killed.
Oh my God, his hand gets cut off.
Yeah. And then Aunt Cheryl kills her friend Marcia for absolutely no reason. And then she
And
goes...
Marsha's just like, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can say it.
Marsha was like concerned.
I kind of love she was like sneaking around the house
she
and
knew
hiding
something
and
was
listening
going on,
in.
right?
Yeah.
Because like she just knew, like it didn't feel right.
She had some intuition. She's like, something's weird here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheryl attacks Julie as she gets away, and then we go back to the house, and Billy and Cheryl get into it, and he kills Cheryl, calls the coach who comes, and then our homophobic detective shows up, and he gets it in the end like he's supposed to.
I just like, Billy, stop drinking that goddamn milk.
And that scene, though, where she's like force-feeding him the milk is so uncomfortable.
It is.
And like, I mean, kudos to them for, I mean, it was well acted. I mean, it was
the whole movie, I think, is really well acted.
And that scene, I have it in my notes, is where he finds out Aunt Cheryl is actually his mother.
Oh my God! Which brings me to the shrine. Is
And
that
his
not
father-
his father?
Yep.
that's what I assumed.
That's what I assumed too.
Yeah.
Because we do there is a scene where it's talked about that she said it. Chuck was leaving her. She got pregnant. He was leaving her. And then she obviously killed him. And that's the abandonment issues she has.
And so we didn't really hit on this, but the whole scene where like Billy goes up in the attic and he like falls down and he finds that picture, and we see that Cheryl is triggered somehow because she gets a little like emotional for a second. I don't know if emotional is the right word, but she's feeling something. And you're kind of like, because what does she say? She says it's an old boyfriend of your mom's.
Yes.
And it's actually potentially your dad.
Yeah.
Like,
Which doesn't make, like, why would you keep pictures of your sister's old boyfriends?
Exactly.
Like,
Who does that?
obviously. Well, I think in that moment, like, Billy knew. Okay, something's up.
right.
You know what I mean?
Aunt Cheryl's bats.
He still drank the goddamn milk, though. I mean, and you know, thank God for, like, Margie's nosy ass, because I think she kind of bought some of them sometime. But yeah, like you said, she killed her for no reason.
Well, I love that she's sneaking around the house listening in, and she had a reason why she was there every time.
I feel like she's basically my favorite character in the movie, to be honest.
Margie?
I thought she was great.
Well, I love it when she's like, okay, well, I'm leaving. Yeah. And she opens the door and closes it, and then, like, does her own little thing. Yeah, I liked Margie a lot. And I like how she yells at her husband all the time. She's like, Frank! You know? And when he's honking the horn at her, I think he honks the horn at her at the beginning, you know, trying to get her to stop talking. But
And then poor Margie hears that cat
Purring,
purring, and gets a machete to the stomach.
you know what I think is gross, too? When Cheryl and Billy, like, because she does stab Billy.
Yeah.
And she open-mouthed kiss him.
Yeah, that's in my notes.
Open-mouthed kissed him, whatever. She kisses him with an open mouth. And I thought, okay, that is gross.
Yeah.
Okay, that is your son. We know that it's your son now. And you're giving your son an open-mouthed kiss. That's gross.
It's not even just open mouth. It's like full
Yeah,
anaconda open.
She's trying to make out with him. Well, let me ask you this. Growing up, because this is a hot topic that I've heard about on, like, other podcasts. And, like, did you kiss your parents on the mouth?
No.
I didn't.
No.
I did. Not my dad, but my mom. But it would be like a little peck, and that's when I was young.
Never.
Like little.
I know some families do, but no. No.
Mine was always just like a kiss on the forehead or like
Kiss on
a
the
cheek.
Yeah.
But
well, as I got older, it was just like a kiss cheek. But when I was like a little, like I vividly remember like.
Oh, I mean, I guess
I think that's fine. Like
I was gonna say, I feel like if I was like little,
like 5, 6.
you know, you like run up to your mom and just go, like just kiss her like on the mouth or whatever. But and then
the way Aunt Cheryl kisses.
No.
No.
That is not okay. So another question: when he calls Landers to come over, the coach.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you calling 911? Like, why would you call Landers?
So when I was watching it, I was like, that is an awful lot of numbers you're dialing for 911. Like, why are we? Who are you calling?
Yeah.
And then it hit. I was like, oh, he's probably calling the coach. But
I think it just goes back to what you said, that he's a father figure and he kind of didn't know what to do.
So he went there, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, okay. I know I've, like, defended their friendship through the whole movie, but I'm like, I mean, he had his phone number memorized. But I guess in 1981, you
had to memorize everyone's phone.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
actually not that weird.
So we had touched on it a minute. The other detective gets his hand lopped off and then gets fucking killed.
Isn't he, like, trying to turn on a light or
He
something?
is. He's pulling the light switch and his hand gets lopped off.
I mean,
and
Cheryl loses her shit.
yeah.
And I wonder if she ever thought, like, okay, I can still cover this up. Like, she's killed her neighbor.
I don't think so. I think at that point she's just like, who cares?
Fuck it.
I'm just
gonna go
Yeah.
hardcore. And here's the thing. So this is their house, and they make mention earlier on how, like, it's a big house for the two of them.
Yeah.
I don't get the feeling there's a lot of land, but then there's a shed.
Forest all over
And
the
then
place, though.
Julie
Pond.
fall in the pond. And I'm like, how big is this goddamn property?
It is. And that pond, I couldn't tell, like, there was steam coming off the pond, and I'm like, what?
Well, it looked really small.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, probably for the movie, but
by then I was really rooting for Julie to kill her
Me
in that
too.
water.
Well,
Like, she had her under
She's
there.
Like, hey, slut, come here, slut.
Well, she really took the brunt, I think, of Cheryl's, like, digs through the whole movie. You know what I
she
mean?
called her a slut any moment she could get.
Yeah.
That's literally what she kept, sluts and perverts. That was her thing.
Yes. 100%. But Carlson comes after Landers is there, and they get into a shuffle, right?
And of course,
remember.
setting the stage for him to throw out some more.
Well, we should talk about the death first. Billy stabs Aunt Cheryl. Is it with a knife first in this area, or is it the fire post?
It's in the heart. It's like here.
It's in the heart.
It's
then
like
she French kisses him, and you think she's dead. Then he calls the coach, and then you realize she comes back too, and then he stabs her
That's right.
with the fire poker. I kind of like
through
way
like
she
the
died,
stomach
like,
or what?
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you guys
she
can't
was
see the
very-
face.
I'm sorry, y'all couldn't see Michael's face just now, but that was pretty good.
Literally, like Margaret White, like just
Yeah.
didn't want to give up, and she's like, yeah, just whatever. I for some reason in my notes I had that she stabbed Billy. She didn't ever stab Billy, did she?
No, she just
Or
like
did she?
cut him.
Cut
Oh,
him.
that's right. She was like slashing at him. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, because then we get that like, slashed up
Ripped
t-shirt
shirt
with
and-
the blood. Yeah.
I think though, had Billy not overcome her, she at that point I think she would have killed him. She already killed Chuck. She killed her brother or killed her sister. And did we talk
Brother-in-law.
about that? We find
Where
out
we
that
find out that-
Cheryl
Yeah, well, she was the one
fucked
that
with the brakes and killed her
because
sister.
she wanted her baby back.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think she would have just killed him.
Yeah. And then maybe killed herself.
Probably.
Yeah. So then Landers comes and
Yeah, Landers comes and is just the worst and gets shot.
no, he gets pistol whipped.
Pistol whipped.
Wait, it's Coach Landers. He gets pistol whipped.
Oh
Yeah,
wait,
The detective shows up and fucking pistol whips him in the head.
Right, but I'm talking about
the detective.
Carlson. Yes, Carlson, sorry.
Yeah, Landers is the coach. Yes.
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 Carlson gets shot.
Yes.
Several times.
Thank God, he deserved it.
He really did.
He was
deserve
trying to talk Billy out of it. I'm like, just fucking shoot him,
it.
Billy.
Yeah, who cares?
Well, so
he was gonna shoot you.
that because actually it's funny because I did notice this when I was watching it when he gets shot, when the detective gets shot, and you see that scene where like it literally like blows the back of his shirt out or whatever.
yeah.
That actually, like he actually like was injured during that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Whatever
because
the
it was
effects
like
were?
too close or something. Like I mean, I guess as
I know
close
what
as
you're talking about,
yeah.
like the little because they probably,
exploding
those are already
thing.
in there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
The
it's not like
pellets or whatever
yeah,
they're
it's not
called.
like shrapnel or anything, but like yeah, it did actually injure him in that scene.
Interesting.
Well, Julie shows up before all that too. After the pistol whipping, and says,
Coming to Billy's
Cheryl
defense.
did all of this.
Yeah.
And the detective's like, no, I don't believe you. It was Billy. It was all Billy and the coach.
Julie has like 9 lives.
She does. She's a cat.
She is the true final girl. But
She survived the pond beating and
I mean, she survived a lot.
attempted drowning.
You are right though. She kind of is like the love interest of the final girl because you got Billy, the final girl, and in a lot of these old slasher movies, the boyfriend or whatever like somehow manages to keep coming back.
Is trying to help. But yeah.
Yeah, so that is very.
It's kind of
interesting.
there's a
Yeah,
lot of
it's
reverses in there.
reverses.
That's a reverse, and then is it Oedipus complex?
Oh, the
where-
Oedipus complex.
Oedipus
Yeah,
complex where the son wants to sleep with the mother, but in this case, the mother
vice,
wants to
yeah.
sleep with the son.
the reverse.
It's very clear that she wants to sleep with him.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I guess, because, I mean, some of the stuff that I had looked up on this talked about how this movie was one of the first ones that touched a little on the incestual things, but didn't actually consummate them. Like, they didn't actually do it, but you definitely, it is implied. Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah. Cheryl wanted to bone her son.
Yeah. And I just feel like Billy, like.
But do you think it was because she was like, obviously a product of, like, Chuck?
I think that she was so warped that she just loved him so much, and she equated that with that, is what I think.
Because, I mean, obviously she, is still down there. We didn't even talk about that either, when she's talking to Chuck after she cuts her hair off, and she's like, you just tease me when you do this. She she's like, you made me do this. I love when you talk to me like this. And I'm like,
Chuck's dead.
Nobody's talking to you, bitch. Oh, man.
And then we have that little, what is it, epilogue at the end where we find out Billy was put on trial.
Which I thought was so funny, because I'm like, okay, first of all, this is not a true story. Yeah. I could have just ended it. But it does. It says Billy was, like, put on trial, and him and Julie are happy in college or something, right?
Yeah, he got off for temporary insanity, and then they went off to college together.
Like, what the fuck? But then I'm like, temporary insanity? He wasn't insane. Like, Billy nothing was wrong.
I mean, look, I guarantee you he's going to have some PTSD from this.
Well, absolutely.
And Julie.
Yeah. Oh, Julie for sure. I feel like Julie has her shit together, though.
She does.
Like, I felt like out of everybody in the movie, like, she had her shit together.
Yeah. They'll make it through.
Yeah, they'll be okay. They probably have little babies, little Billy Juniors.
Yeah. This might be Colorado, because they did talk about going to that college.
They did.
In Denver.
So maybe it's in, like, a small town in Colorado.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Because, I'm sure in the 80s, like, a lot of people were going to college, like, close to home. But farther, like...
They probably weren't going out of state much because they couldn't afford it back then. Yeah.
Hell, who can afford it now?
All right.
I can barely afford to get out of my house.
You ain't kidding.
Go ahead. I was just going to say a little trivia thing that I just found out when we were doing this. I thought was interesting. Jimmy Nichols was the brother of Christy McNichol.
Christy McNichol?
She was in Empty Nest.
Why do I know that?
It was a TV
name,
show. She was a pretty famous child actor back in the day. And then the Golden Girls were neighbors to the people from Empty Nest. So she would show up every once in a while in some episodes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But that's their brother and sister.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's all I had.
Okay, cool. Before we move on to our final thoughts, it is time for everyone's favorite segment. I don't know if it's everyone's, but we're telling ourselves that. Horror Fried Theater. Mikey, set the scene.
So this, like we kind of mentioned earlier, like this movie's full of a lot of like small scenes. So it was a little hard to find something that was more than 2 characters or more than something that was like 2 minutes long or whatever. Yeah. So we're gonna go with this, y'all.
Are we doing a medley?
No. Oh, okay. No, we're doing one scene, but it's actually a pretty fun one. So I'm kind of like,
I'm so excited for this.
Are you?
I'm so excited.
He's lying.
I can't. But the scene that we're gonna do is when Billy and Julie, when he's trying to convince her to come in and distract Cheryl.
Oh, okay.
So, and we're going to play through the whole thing.
Oh.
With Margie.
Oh, okay. This
everything.
Will be fun.
So.
Oh my God. Okay. So this is like, woo!
Yeah. Okay. Now, I go ahead and tell you the characters. It does get a little wonky because there's 4. And there's 3 of us. So one of us has to,
somebody narrates, right?
Well, I'll narrate. That's fine.
So then, that's what I'm saying. Should whoever's narrating get one character?
Oh, I'm only one character.
Oh, okay. You got this sorted out.
So, I do have, because we're going to start with the conversation when Billy and Julie's like walking down the street. It's literally like 4 lines, so it's not anything crazy. But I do have you as Billy and Julie, because obviously Julie is not in this as long.
Okay.
So you have to really
deliver.
So you got to be guy girl.
Yeah, you're gonna have to We're going to have to differentiate between Julie and Billy.
Try my best.
Okay.
Because I actually thought, I was like, I mean, I could be Billy in that scene opposite you. It's literally 2 lines if we wanted to do that. That way you're not talking to yourself.
Or Julie, right? Because
yeah, whichever one.
He'll be Billy for the rest of the thing.
Yeah.
And that's Julie's only lines?
No, because Julie's
back. That's right.
at the house. So that's what I'm saying.
Who
But
else are you-
there's no more scenes between Billy and Julie except for those 4 lines.
Oh, okay.
Because Billy comes back, but it's after Julie's already like...
Got it.
Been meat cleavered.
Yeah. So it's up to you. If you want me to be Billy in the beginning, or if you just want to take it and do guy girl.
Okay, guy girl.
The anticipation is killing me. Okay. So, so in that case, Michael, you're Billy Julie. You are Cheryl. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be Margie.
Okay.
So
I'm just Cheryl?
I absolutely...
a lot of lines?
She does.
Yeah.
And I want all of the excitement when it comes to like her little screams and her
pounding her meat.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try my best.
Okay. Well, here's that. Are we ready?
Ooh, I don't know. Cheryl, that is a lot to tackle. Okay.
All right, Gangrene. Take it away.
Greetings, maniacs and madmen. This is Dr. Gangrene, physician of fright and Nashville horror host. Coming up next is everyone's favorite segment, Horror Fried Theater. Grab your popcorn and refreshments, pull up a slab, and get ready for the madness.
After we now see and know that Cheryl has been keeping her boyfriend Chuck's dead body downstairs, we see Billy's left the house to go visit Julie and ask for help after he was caught snooping in Cheryl's room. Billy and Julie are walking down the street together, his arm around her.
You gotta help me. But she hates me. She won't talk to me. Well, yeah, she will. If you go up to the house, you can distract her for a few minutes, and then I can find out what's in the jewelry box. Okay.
Julie walks up to the house and onto the front step as Billy waits and watches outside. Julie knocks.
Miss Roberts?
She looks into the kitchen and waits. There's no answer, so she opens the screen door and enters.
Miss Roberts?
She walks through the kitchen and peeks around the wall into the living room.
Miss Roberts?
From behind Julie, she enters hysterical.
What are you doing in here? I told you that Billy's under doctor's orders to rest.
Billy then sneaks in and goes upstairs.
I know, I didn't come to see him. I came to apologize.
I don't want any apologies from you. I'm inviting you to get out of here.
Raising her voice now, too.
No! Not until I said what I came to say.
You can talk till you're blue in the face. I saw you the other night. I know what you do.
Billy's now upstairs and is in Cheryl's room again. He goes to the dresser drawer and opens it. Meanwhile, downstairs, Cheryl takes a slab of meat out of the refrigerator and plops it on the counter. Several items lay scattered about on the counter, including a meat tenderizer.
Hope you're not going to make me throw you out of here.
She hammers it harder and harder.
Miss Roberts, I wish you could understand. Billy and I really love each other.
Cheryl keeps hammering harder and harder and then begins sobbing.
I still think of Billy as my little baby. Everything moves so fast. Yesterday's become tomorrow before you even blink. I do understand. I had a boyfriend once. I do understand, honey. Come here.
Cheryl holds her arms open to embrace Julie, and Cheryl continues crying and wraps her arms around Julie, sobbing. Billy is upstairs going through Cheryl's box that she has been hiding in the drawer. There are several trinkets and letters in this box. Back downstairs.
I have another round sitting in the refrigerator. Honey, could you get it for me?
Sure.
Oh, you're so caring.
Julie walks towards the refrigerator while Cheryl looks after her. As Julie reaches into the fridge, Cheryl wipes her tears and stops sobbing long enough to take the tenderizer and hit Julie with it one time. She falls to the ground. Billy's upstairs continuing his search. We see Cheryl pour the entire bottle of the stuff into the milk carton. Chipper as ever, Margie walks up to the house holding magazines and a cheesecake and knocks on the door. Hello, hello! It's me, Margie! She proceeds to the front door. Hello? Cheryl! Billy closes up the box and walks out of the room. Meanwhile, downstairs, Margie's making her way around the kitchen, grabbing a coffee cup and making herself at home. Cheryl comes in behind her.
Hi, Margie.
Oh, hi! She turns to Cheryl, laughing.
What?
Your hair! What did you do?
Oh, you like?
Yeah!
Myself. I think it makes me look younger.
Oh, definitely, yes. Oh, yeah, I love it. It's different.
Thanks.
Billy's back downstairs and sneaking out the front door while the ladies are in the kitchen. He comes in through the kitchen door from outside.
Hi, Margie. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Billy!
Billy! I thought you were upstairs. Where have you been?
Didn't you get my note?
No.
Well, I had to go to Julie's house to give her books. Her mother said she was coming over here.
Cheryl opens the refrigerator up and takes the milk carton out.
Well, did she come?
Cheryl walks over and gets a glass to pour the milk in that she's spoiled with something to put Billy to sleep.
No. She came by. She had to leave. She said she'd call you later. Here you go. Doctor said he's got to have lots of milk.
Cheryl, what did you do to your hair?
Don't you just...
Don't you just love it? Why, it's the latest thing.
Sorry.
I brought you some of my homemade cheesecake and look, some new sports magazines.
Basketball?
Oh, sit down, Billy. We'll all have some.
Cheryl notices blood on the door of the refrigerator and wipes it off with her apron. It's been at Frank's office for 3 weeks.
Isn't this fun? It's like having a party.
Billy and Margie go into the dining room with the cheesecake and magazines.
And then my sick boy's going straight upstairs to bed.
You really should take care of yourself, Billy. Maybe I should have brought my chicken soup instead.
The doctor said the only way to get rid of it is plenty of sleep.
Billy then collapses on the floor in front of them. Billy! End scene.
So this is Dr. Gangrene saying goodbye and thanks for joining us here at Horror Fried Theater. See you on the next episode of the Horror Fried Podcast, and be sure and join me every Saturday night for Dr. Gangrene Sanitarium, Saturdays at 9 p.m. on Nashville's NECAT Channel 9 and simulcast on the NECAT Roku channel and drgangrene.com. And as always, remember to stay mad.
That was actually pretty good.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I can hear Cheryl in my head, but I can't, you can't get that voice. It's a weird,
Right.
Yeah.
whatever. It's a weird voice.
Do we want to just go ahead and dive into our horror fried hottie for this?
I'm sexy, I'm cute, I'm popular to boot.
Not much of a selection.
No, there's really not. I'm actually really curious to see what y'all's are. Who's going first?
I think you should go first.
Me?
Yeah.
It's, I guess I would I mean, like I said, there's really not a whole lot to pick from here. But even though it is slim pickings, I guess I'm probably going to have to go, because, I'm a glutton for punishment, and I'd rather, whatever. I guess I'm going to go with that young Bill Paxton. Mm-hmm. So Eddie, and then we'll just follow up with Billy, but Eddie would probably be my...
Well, this is easy for me. I'm going to go with Billy Lynch. Jimmy McNichol's character. He shows his butt, and that's all I need.
I'm going to have to go with Bill Paxton as well.
Oh, God.
See? Glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Y'all love a homophobic
Bully?
bully, yeah.
I guess so.
What can I say? I'm from the South. It's what I'm used to.
I mean, let's be real. He'd probably suck your dick in private.
I mean, you know what? I'm not even going to go any further with
Okay.
that because I feel like I could probably just keep going with that. But that...
Okay, fair enough. All right, so now it's time for our final finger-licking thoughts here at Horror Fried. We rate our films using the heat scale of Nashville's famous hot chicken on a scale of 1 to 5. No spice, mild, medium, hot, and Nashville hot. I'm really dying to hear what you guys rated this movie. So, Mike, I want to start with you.
I'm kind of right down the middle for this one. It didn't So I'll say a medium. It didn't like disappoint, but it didn't leave me like, oh, I'm gonna go watch this like several times. I really loved it.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like that.
Okay.
So I'm a solid medium on it.
So a 3.
Yes.
Solid 3. Okay. Michael.
I'm gonna give it a 4. I'm gonna give it a hot. I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the performances are great, specifically Susan Tyrrell. I think she's fantastic in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of all over the place, but I kind of love that it's all over the place and bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy that about it.
Mm-hmm.
It kept me entertained.
I think with the way that they cut the scenes, like they're so quick, it keeps the film moving.
Yes.
Because, they're towards the middle. There's not really a lot of stuff happening. It's just a lot of, like, questions and answers. And so I think the way that they put it together, it makes it more fast-paced.
Yes.
Right? That's what I think. I really like this movie. I would give it a hot as well. I'd give it a 4.25, actually.
Oh, okay.
4.25. I think it's a lot of fun. Like you said, Michael, I think the performances are really good. I do think it is batshit crazy, which is why I think I like it so much. I don't like the incestual part and honestly, the derogatory remarks about homosexuals doesn't bother me as much as
the
her
incest
being
stuff.
just gross with Billy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like I kind of expect those kind of remarks in a movie like this. So it doesn't bother me as much, but I think it's a fun movie. I think it's wacky as hell.
It is wacky.
And I really do
And I
like
love
all
that.
the characters. Like you said, Susan Tyrrell is really great in her role. I love the coach. I think he's a good guy. I think Billy, the kids that played Billy and Julie are both really good. And then Margie's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I really like it.
I mean, funny story, kind of going on the actors that you were just rattling off. Apparently, Bill Paxton was slated to play Billy, but they wanted a known actor at the time, and he wasn't. Which is funny because now you'd think Bill Paxton is
Even
obviously
today,
went
he would
on.
be bigger.
Yeah.
He's been dead a few years.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know that I would have bought him as Billy, though.
No.
No, because I mean, I think that Billy's character needed to be a little bit more
soft.
Yeah, and not as hold on, I can't remember who.
Bill Paxton's character is definitely a little more rough around the edges and aggressive, and Billy
He's good at being a bully, though, too, I feel like.
Yeah.
Especially in his early career.
Yeah.
And then Daryl Hannah and Ali Sheedy were actually slated
For Julia
to
Duffy?
audition for the role of Julie.
Really?
I think Julia Duffy was a good choice. She's very just girl next
I was gonna say, I don't know if
door.
Ali Sheedy could have pulled that off.
I feel like Ali could have pulled it off before Daryl Hannah.
Yeah, no.
Daryl Hannah's kind of not great, but
Oh, and L.
Yeah.
But Ali Sheedy, especially when you think about, because this would have been pre-Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
And kind of how she was in Breakfast Club.
So different.
Yeah. And when you think about her in that, when she gets made over.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good point. Well, and to be honest, I've never seen Daryl Hannah earlier, so I don't know how she would have.
The earliest thing I can think of is Splash. So.
But see, I haven't seen that in so
Me
many
either.
years. I don't even know. And the only other really thing that I know Daryl Hannah is
Still
Kill Bill.
Magnolias.
Still Magnolias.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Kill
she's-
Bill.
yes, I know she's in Kill Bill, but for me, I think of Still Magnolias. That's what I think of Daryl Hannah.
And now
So
she's
I
married
don't
to Neil Young,
Yeah.
which is so weird.
Yeah, I think Julia Duffy was a really good. She
I
was
think
good.
I think the whole
She was
casting was
genuine.
really good
Yeah.
in this movie.
I feel like her and Billy had really good
Good
chemistry
chemistry.
too.
Yeah.
They seemed like a real couple. Really cute little high school sweethearts that probably went off to college together and then broke up.
Yeah.
All
Did-
right.
What kind of direction did Susan Tyrrell get for this movie? Do you know when you were doing your research? Did
no,
they just
I
say, do
didn't-
whatever you want.
Pretty much. But then they also talked about how I guess she never there's not a whole lot of interviews out there where the actors talk about this movie, but I guess she was asked about it and she had never seen it for a long time. And then when she finally did see it, obviously she was much older and she was like, I mean, it was good. She didn't seem like...
Was she a stage actress before?
She definitely had to have been a character method actor.
I get the vibe that maybe she was a stage actress. And like going back, I know I've said this a few times, but Margaret White, like Piper Laurie, was a stage actress before she did a lot of movies. And I felt like there was a lot of similarities between
them,
their methods.
I almost think that Susan Tyrrell, and I have to look it up, may have been a soap actress as well, because there's kind of that over top.
Oh, yeah.
Soap opera.
Yeah. Which can also be very theatrical, too.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean...
Well, I feel like a lot of people that did theater, like, did a lot of soaps, too.
Did you think it was campy, though? Like, I thought it worked perfectly for the movie, where you think of Faye Dunaway and Mommy Dearest, and that's...
Over the top. I think it is campy, but it's believable.
Yeah.
You know, where, like, Faye Dunaway, Mommy... Like, it's over the top and campy, but, like... I'm like, okay, I think they took some liberties, because I don't really think Joan Crawford was that fucking crazy. Yeah. Like, I think she was... I don't even want to say crazy. I think Joan was very particular and maybe a little obsessive compulsive, but I don't think she was a raging lunatic like Faye Dunaway portrayed her as.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I didn't think that Susan's was that, like... I mean, she was psychotic, so, like, I just took it as that.
As psychotic,
yeah. I didn't think that it was necessarily, like, over the top. I just thought she was crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's campy, but I think it works in this movie because of the movie in general.
I agree.
Yeah.
You guys haven't seen next week's movie, right? Or next episode's movie?
No, next week's episode is Fear No Evil. Yeah, I've not seen that. And you have, right?
I have seen it, yes.
So this will be a first-time watch, which will be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Yes.
This was actually, you picked this movie on the list.
I did. I watched it for the first time a few years ago, and it definitely fits the queer horror.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. I hope everybody else is excited as well. We'd like to thank you all for joining us. If you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and rate the Horrified Podcast, and catch up on all of our previous episodes on your favorite streaming services. Links are available on our Instagram page. Again, we'd like to shout out Dr. Gangrene. Thank you for hosting our Horrified Theater this season. Now it's time to swap spit and hit the road. Until next time, remember, there's not a pot too crooked that a lid won't fit.
Adios.
Sayonara.
Bye.
Do you know that homosexuals are very, very sick? Do you know that, Billy?